Hey y'all, my name's Jen. I'm a health and life coach on a mission to empower women, and this season I call the messy middle. We believe it's never too late to dream your wildest dreams and to build lives freed from the shoulds and have-tos. Here, we talk to ourselves like we do our girlfriends and our sisters and daughters. I will share stories and resources with lots of encouragement and a little bit of tough love to drive you toward action. In this podcast, we talk about everything: career, relationships, motherhood, and health. So grab your sneakers and let's go, because she's wild and freed. Hey y'all! Welcome to another episode of She's Wild and Freed. I'm your host, Jen, and I am excited today because today is episode number lucky 13. So I'm not only just excited because it's number 13, but also the topic for today's episode was a request from one of our listeners. So first, I just want to thank you for putting in a request, reaching out to me, connecting on what's important to you. She requested that we talk about organizing our homes, decluttering, and even though this topic may not seem health and wellness related, it definitely is. So I'm excited to dive into this topic today with you, and I would love to hear from anyone else who has a topic they want to have discussed on the podcast. You know, anything that is related to health, life, career, relationships, all the things that we deal with and live through day in and day out. Please reach out, email me, DM me, whatever way is easiest for you. But I just love this first request or question about how can I organize my life, my home? How can I declutter? You know, there's a lot of podcasters and authors and just people in general who know a lot more about this than I do. So certainly if you want to dig deeper or dive into this to really get some more in-depth information, there's a lot of stuff out there. But these are things that have worked for me. These are things that I do in my daily or monthly or yearly life to declutter areas, not just physical, but mental, but also just get organized. So I hope you'll find something that is helpful, something you can take from this episode to get started on clearing out an area. You know, I think one reason I love this so much is we're right at the end of the year. So 2024 is upon us and we are making our New Year resolutions, or at least thinking about making them. Maybe we're still in the holiday spirit of, the December month, but that is definitely a resolution that I've had many, many years in the past. And maybe it's Target that has influenced me, because every time the Christmas decorations come down, Tupperwares come out, planners are in, and, we're thinking about how can we better store our stuff or organize ourselves. Anyone out there love a good planner? Loves to look at the different designs, what's out there when the new year comes around. I'm definitely guilty of that. I love looking at them. I buy one every year. Every year, I even have this debate in my head where I'm like, you don't use the planner. You're not going to write stuff down, or you may start it for a week and then forget about it for a month or two and then come back to it. But it doesn't matter. I like to buy a new planner. I love opening it. I love writing some goals or putting items on the calendar. It's just a part of my process. So if you see me in Target or Barnes & Noble, just nod and smile, because I'm buying that planner that I probably won't use, but it does get me inspired. So that's my I guess, guilty pleasure on organizing and planning. But let's move on from that and get started on the topic at hand. So clearing the clutter. First, when we think about organizing our space, you got to really figure out what's motivating you. So sit with that for a moment. What is your motivating factor? Most of us like a clean space, and it's one of our goals, but then we struggle to keep a place or a space organized and clean. But that's where we need to tap into the deeper meaning of it, or what motivates us. Clicking in to that motivating factor can really help us ensure inevitable success. And when I say clicking in, I actually got a visual, and I started thinking about this more of think about when you click in that seatbelt when you're about to go on a roller coaster, or clicking your life vest before you go tubing or water skiing or whatever you do, or even clicking your boots to go skiing or snowboarding. That sound or that motion is right before you're going to get going and go do the thing. So think about that as you're wanting to have a goal in clearing out the clutter or organizing your space, of really clicking into what motivates you to have that clean or organized space. And then we need to think about, what kind of clutter do we want to organize? What area are we looking at in our life? Are you someone who needs to clean out papers? You've got bills laying around, receipts, mailers, magazines. Maybe you accumulated a lot of gadgets in your kitchen, things you thought would be useful but aren't anymore, and your cabinets are overflowing. Maybe you've kept a lot of your kids' schoolwork. I'm guilty of this. I have some Tupperwares I still need to go through, but you kept all the report cards or the artwork that your kids did. Or you've kept your old clothes, or your kids' old clothes, maybe from when they were babies or toddlers, and that stuff obviously doesn't fit anymore. So that's one area of clutter that you can clear, the stuff. There are some other areas of our lives that we can look to declutter. Are you someone who volunteers for all the things at your kids' school? Or maybe it's at church or another organization, even at work. You're always like, oh, sure, I'll do that. Oh, sign me up. I can bring the thing. Or even with just thinking about work stuff. Have you looked at your calendar? You get in, you log in on Monday, and you're like, I don't think I put any of these things on my calendar. So looking at that, even your personal or professional calendars, are there items that you can remove that aren't important or not necessary, or even kind of block time? That's something I've definitely learned to do, is block time so that I can own my day and get the things that I want to get done. We cannot forget also about our phones. Are you one of those people that has more than 100 unread emails in your inbox? Or maybe you downloaded an app for one thing and then you've never used it again. So it's just cluttering up your screen. Or maybe it's your finances. Are you afraid to look at your bank account or your expenses? Clearing out the clutter can also apply to that, where we're looking at those subscriptions we don't use, or maybe we really don't need. There's other things maybe we could minimize or cut out as far as our expenses to help us toward our financial goals. This really applies to so many areas in our lives. And if you're like me, it can start to feel really overwhelming because you're like, yeah, I got that and this, and oh yeah, the other thing. And I have like 6 things or areas that I want to organize. Because man, life gets busy and work gets busy and our kids keep us busy. And Not to mention, we're trying to stay healthy and balance all the things. And, oh yeah, I'll do something for ourselves once in a while, but also be a good partner to our husband or spouse. It's a lot. It makes me think of the monologue that America Ferrera does in the Barbie movie. So if you haven't seen that scene or movie, just go Google it. Pause the episode right now. You need to hear it if you haven't heard it, where America talks about all the things that women have to deal with, the pressures from the outside, from the inside. It comes from everywhere, but wow, it's an awesome scene that brings me to tears each time I see it. Okay, so before we dive into the topic, though, I want to just talk about, my previous pattern in this area of diving into projects, and I take on too much at one time. So then I can't finish one project because I do one, I get sort of to a certain spot, and then I take on another one, never really finishing the first. Then I've got 2 or 3 more going, but I'm never accomplishing, just finishing one at a time. Or I get halfway through one and halfway through another, and then again, stop, don't come back to it for another 6 months, where I'm almost starting over again with that project. That's definitely something that I have worked through, trying to focus and use some of these tips I'm going to share with you to help, get organized in one area and then another, maybe not taking on so many, because it can be so overwhelming when we start thinking about all the things that we want to clean or clear out or organize in our lives. The other thing I do, and honestly, still working through this, is underestimate the amount of time it takes to do a thing. I may look at a closet and be like, okay, that's what I'm working on today. And I think it'll take an hour. I think it'll take 2 hours, whatever the time is. And 2 hours go by and I'm like, oh my gosh, now I'm hungry for lunch, or I got to do this other thing and I haven't even cracked the surface, or it feels that way. So definitely still working through that. And again, I hope these tips that I share will help you. And, I'm right alongside with you, still working through how to organize and keep the clutter clear. So let's dive in. Number 1 on how to clear the clutter or get organized in your life is identify how much time you have to complete the thing. You may only be able to dedicate an hour, or you've decided, okay, I'm going to take Saturday, or I'm going to take this day to really work through this project. It's really important to me. We talked about just moments ago what's motivating you to clean or organize. So first, identify how much time you have, because you only have an hour or 2. You may not want to dive into the entire kitchen or the garage. You may need to take on either chunks, which we talk about that a lot with my health coaching business, is chunking things off. So certainly the same applies here. Of course, if you have a half a day, a whole day, if you're really wanting to get this project completed, you can dive into some of those bigger projects. So first, identify how much time you have. Hey, y'all. I'm quickly interrupting this episode to tell you all about an exclusive offer for my podcast listeners. I'm so excited to offer you a complimentary 2024 visioning session. In this 60-minute session, you will develop a powerful vision for your life in 2024. You'll uncover what might stop you, slow you down, or keep you from creating what you most want this year, and get crystal clear on a step-by-step plan to make 2024 your best year yet. This is an awesome opportunity to focus in on what you truly want for yourself in the upcoming year. Plus, you have the opportunity to see what it's like to work with a coach Again, this offer is exclusively for my podcast community. But wait, there's more. If you sign up for a vision session with me and you share my podcast with a friend on Instagram or Facebook and tag me, you will receive a bonus coaching session that can be used anytime in the month of January. Click the link in the show notes and register for a session today. There are limited spots, and this offer is only good through January 31st. Number 2, you want to think about what's the highest priority for you. Not what your family wants, not what you think your in-laws will expect when they come over in a couple of weeks. What is most important? What's giving you the most anxiety when you open a drawer, a cabinet, a door, look at your desk, look at your finances, whatever that area it is, pick that one first. Because again, we want to start these habits in that we are focusing on the time that we have, and then we're focusing on what's most important to us. Once you've done that, you've focused on the most important thing or highest priority for you, then tell your family. Tell the people you live with, I'm going to work on this thing. I'm going to need this much time. I want you to know this is important to me, so they know. Because if you're like me, I think a lot of us are in the same boat. Really important things will pop up for your family, or they'll need help with something, or something will try to derail you. And these things are perfectly normal needs and wants from people around us. And that's where we really need to proclaim, kind of put that stake in the ground that this is important to me and I want to do this. We're talking about decluttering right now. It could apply to a lot of things that we're working on in our lives, but really focusing in on, I really want our kitchen to be organized, and I'm going to work on this from this time to that time. Okay, so we've talked about how much time we had. We've talked about what's most important to us. Number 3 on ways to declutter or organize your home is just do it. Stop procrastinating. Don't make excuses. You've already focused in on the time you need and what's most important to you, and you told your family. Now you take action. Don't allow things that creep in, that always do. I should be doing this instead, or I have to make that or do this. Those shoulds and have tos are always going to be there, but you're focusing on what you want to do. And that is clearing the space, organizing your area. Again, whatever it is, whatever is most important to you, take action. Okay. So for me, there's a few areas that I tend to clutter up and then need to declutter. So I thought I'd just share those with you. Maybe you can relate. Maybe you can send me some tips on how to declutter. No, I'm kidding. But if you want to, I'm all ears. But one of those is my work desk. I receive quite a bit of mail in the line of work I'm in that I have to organize and take action on. I hate mail. I hate when I get it. I hate that I have to open it and look at it and do things with it. It's just one of those things that I don't enjoy about my job. So they pile up on my desk. But one of the things that I bought this year that is just amazing. I know it's a little thing, but I bought a shredder. So I am able to take action and then put those darn documents in the shredder, and it's so satisfying to watch those things go through. And I use it for my personal documents too. We still get some mail, bills we have to pay or whatever items that may come in. That's one area that I tend to focus on regularly because I'll allow the papers to pile up. I've got to take the moment, scan things in, take action, shred, whatever it may be. The other area that I struggle with, or it's probably more than just one, but one of the areas I do struggle with is my inboxes. I already mentioned. Oh, hey, how many of us already have over 100 unread emails? Well, full disclosure, my personal inbox, I have over 700 unread emails. What the heck am I doing with them? I don't know. I don't have a good system. My professional email is probably very similar, maybe not unread, but they're just sitting in my inbox. I've taken action. I don't need them anymore, and they're just sitting there. So I don't have a good process for that. If you have one, would love good techniques or something to help me. That is an area probably twice a year. I just start going through and deleting a ridiculous amount of emails. My personal email, it's a lot of promotions from brands that I buy from once in a while. And then there's some that I'm like, why do I still get these? So I start deleting those or unsubscribing. I guess that is one little tip. If your inbox is overwhelming or overflowing, you can start unsubscribing from those promotions from brands that maybe you bought from once, maybe you needed a discount code, but now you're ready to clean it out. One area I will say that I'm really good at is getting rid of clothes that I no longer wear. At least twice a year with the seasons. I kind of do summer and winter, I guess. I know there's 4 seasons, but this is when I do it. I go through clothes that I either haven't worn last season or this season. So at least it's been a year. And, if I haven't worn it for a year, I'm going to go ahead and donate it. Or clothes that don't fit. So if the pants just are too snug, they're sitting there, I'm looking at them. After a year, I get rid of them. And so what I do with those is donate to either Goodwill or a local organization that supports women's shelter. That's really important to me to donate when I can. And here's the thing, though. With getting rid of clothes, whether it be your clothes, or I also know folks who have kept on or held on to their children's clothes that, their children are now in school or even older and they're still holding on to like baby or toddler clothes. It's really emotional. And I don't want to discount that. Getting rid of clothes that maybe are several sizes too small for us, and we keep looking at them thinking, well, I do want to be that size, or I think I should be that size, or getting rid of our kids' clothes. It feels like we're almost breaking a piece of us off, and it hurts. It is emotional, and I completely understand and can identify with those feelings because there's memories. No matter what the memories are, there's memories held in those things. But what I want to suggest is we reframe how we look at those things. For the clothes that no longer fit you, maybe they're 1, 2, 3 sizes more, even more smaller than what you're in right now. And again, you think you should be able to fit in those clothes. You want to be able to fit in them. Think about the folks right now who are experiencing hardship. We're in a period where goods are really expensive for some. I mean, it's expensive for a lot of us, but they aren't able to afford good quality clothes. Think about those folks that you could donate to them. You could donate jeans. You could donate that sweater that you loved or that shirt, but it just doesn't fit anymore, and how they could benefit from getting that. The same goes for our children's clothes if you're holding on to those. I saw a Facebook post recently and I thought was, number one, it was just beautiful. These people are fostering 2 children and they came with no clothes. They didn't have anything with them when they came to them as foster children. So they were asking for certain sizes and for clothes and shoes for those children. What a beautiful way to share what your children used to someone else who could use it. Just think about that as you maybe look at those Tupperwares or something in the back of your closet that you've been holding on to, and think about how much it could bless someone else. The other thing about holding on to clothes that no longer fit us is we're holding on to an older version of us, and it's keeping us stuck. Releasing that, shifting away from holding on to these things that no longer serve us is keeping us stuck. And if we're able to move past that, if we're able to donate to someone who can use our items, we're stepping forward to our future self. And she's waiting for us to step forward. You may not see her, you may not feel her, but she's there. And letting go of the past version of us allows us to move forward to that future self. Definitely think about that as you're clearing the clutter, as you're organizing, as you may be holding on to things that really don't serve you anymore and are causing stress and anxiety and just not allowing you to have freedom in your life. Think about your future self and what she's waiting for you to do. Okay, let's review. So the 3 things that can help you organize your life. 1, identify how much time you have. Again, if you need to do things in small spurts, chunk it out. Great. That is definitely a great way to achieve a goal, whatever it is. But right now we're talking about decluttering and organizing. Or if you're setting aside a half a day, a whole day, whatever your time period is, just make sure you've decided what that is and it works in your life, because we have busy lives. We have things going on, that's how these things get pushed aside. So identify the time you have, then pick your spot, what you're going to organize, what you're going to clean out, what's highest priority for you first. And then you can move on to the next thing. So for example, I mentioned my inbox. That's not a high priority. Yes, I see the number on my screen, but what's higher priority for me would be honestly my work desk. I do have papers sitting on there that I need to declutter. So think about your spot, what's going to be most impactful and what's most important to you. And then number 3, just do it. Take action. We talk about taking action a lot on this podcast, but it really is the only way to move forward. We can't sit and stew. We can't think about the thing. And believe me, I do this so much. And I know when I actually take action on whatever it is, however small it may be, this moves me forward. And I feel so satisfied that I did something. So take action on what you want to do. 3 steps. It's pretty simple, actually. One thing I just wanted to touch on, I didn't talk about in this episode, maybe we'll address it in other episodes, is organizing and decluttering our mental clutter. Many of us, as I just mentioned, have lots of thoughts going around, looping in our heads, and it goes throughout the day, really stops us from focusing on what we want to do. Taking the steps that we just talked about today in organizing our space, decluttering, doing things in the physical areas of our lives helps us with that mental clutter. And it's a byproduct, as I think about it, of clearing the space, allowing flow, organizing, feeling at peace in whatever area you're looking at will help as we continue to try to work on our mental well-being and clearing out the clutter that, again, loops in our head, that voice in the back of our mind telling us what we should do or what we have to do. When we focus in on whatever the project or the goal is, we can certainly achieve that goal. Clean out the kitchen cabinets, clear off our desk, but also feel some peace in our mental well-being. Not something that I really talked about today, but something that's really important to think about as you're decluttering your life, that this will certainly make room in your minds and your emotional well-being. So I hope you found something helpful here. I think there's a lot of good tools and things out there to help with decluttering. But certainly I hope these tips, something resonated with you or something was like, I could definitely do that to help you as you work toward clearing out the clutter and organizing your home, your life, your inbox, whatever it is. And again, I just want to thank the listener for, writing in and asking for this topic. And if you have something that you're interested in hearing more about, you'd like more tips and resources on really anything, health, life, career, relationships, all the things that we talk about on this podcast, I would love to hear from you. So message me, DM me, email me, whatever is easiest for you. And we're going to keep going on this journey together. Next week, we will be offering another meditation. So we did one around Thanksgiving. This one will be celebrating the winter solstice. And I can't wait to see you and hear what you think of this one and the following episode, the meditation, next week. Have a great one. Thank you so much for spending time with me. I hope you feel free to take action toward building the life of your dreams. If something in this episode resonated with you, I would so appreciate it if you would text it to a girlfriend so she can hear the message as well. Until next time, stay wild.